The 2026 racing season is about to kick off, and while it isn't exactly a headline event like Daytona, the rebranded Formula Regional Oceania Trophy is absolutely stacked this year. Hello and welcome, fellow motorsports fans. We're finally back for 2026. It's only been like 2 weeks, but felt like an eternity, didn't it? As is tradition, I'm here to run you through the FROT grid today, talk about all the teams and drivers, and let you know who I think will be in the title hunt, so let's get to it. We'll start with the weakest of the teams, and that has to be Giles Motorsport. This isn't the first year I'm doing this video, and I still keep forgetting how to pronounce that team, but never mind. Neither Jack Taylor nor Nolan Elliott are particularly inspiring characters, though both of them have at least something going for them. And by that, I mainly mean their age. Elliott might be a thoroughly underwhelming addition in Indy Next, but bringing 6 years of car racing experience to the table in a series populated by a bunch of 17-year-olds should hopefully allow him not to look like complete trash. Basically, we're expecting a backmarker, but a competitive one at that, if that makes sense. Taylor is pretty much the opposite. Sure, he completely shit the bed in Frecker last year. Kiwi Motorsport is sadly only fielding 2 cars for USF4 dominator Cooper Shipman and Formula Open fan favourite Yevon David. And while neither of these names are the type of all-star talents you'd see F1 teams fight over, both of these guys have shown a fair share of talent already quite early in their respective careers. Particularly, Shipman is essentially a huge question mark. Smashing USF4 the way he did was awesome, but then again, it was USF4. Walking all over that grid is the bare minimum if you want to make it as a racing driver, I think. So we really don't know if he's a huge talent destined for something like IndyCar, or just another good driver who might be fighting for some race wins on the junior ladder or something. All of that said, call it European bias, even though he is Sri Lankan, I reckon David will get the better of him. Not only does David bring more experience in faster cars, he has had to fight tooth and nail every race in the Formula Open. The guys coming through that series are proper battle-hardened racers, something that just can't really be said for the USF4. Either way, while I expect neither in the title fight, Kiwi hasn't been able to do that anyway, I think this should be a fun little duel to watch. HMD comes in next with their 2-driver lineup of James Wharton and Riccardo Battista, and another, as of recording this video, still not yet named 3rd driver. Battista has never done anything noteworthy in his short driver career. No, I won't count a reverse grid win in Brazilian F4 of all places. Thus, I'm expecting absolutely nothing, and on paper he is probably the worst driver on the grid. Wharton is a much more interesting prospect, and the reason I've had HMD here and not lower down the list. Wharton has been a big talent since his karting days, but has been quite hit or miss since he stepped up to single-seaters. Absolutely rapid on his good days and a menace for his teammates and other competitors on his bad days. We don't know which Wharton will turn up for this series, but considering how his first F3 stint went, I reckon it is time for the good Wharton again. In which case, he might even end up as a dark horse for the title. It may sound like a stretch, but think about it. If he brings his best form, he might well be a top 3 driver on the grid, not counting the massive question marks of Rovanperä and Wood. Either way, expect Wharton to utterly destroy Battista every single time they hit the track together. Now we're getting to the good teams, and it immediately got a lot more difficult to put them in order. I've decided to put MTech in P3, but it was touch and go. MTech has been the traditional challenger team to the M2 domination the series has seen in recent years, and they have once again assembled a driver lineup that will put them in the spot of a dangerous underdog in my opinion. This really is a lineup of 3 hard-to-read Kiwi drivers and Jan Puchui, who so far has been almost offensively average across his career. Don't expect that to change anytime soon, and average on this grid might well relegate him to the back. Zach Scular was one of the biggest talking points of last year's edition of the series, with huge breakout drives across the 5 weeks, only for Scular to not only fall flat but crash and burn completely in Eurocup 3. Now, in fairness, his performance in New Zealand was the outlier in that equation, not his bad run in Europe, But it still leaves us with the question, can he do it again this year? If I was a betting man, I'd have to go against it, but nobody will be shocked if he hits the ground running once again. Louis Sharp has of course been one of the biggest talents on the ladder until an abysmal F3 rookie campaign this year, so we know very well what he is capable of. To keep the status as a big prospect, he absolutely needs to obliterate his two aforementioned teammates, but I think he should be up to that task. And once again, as someone who is easily top 5 in terms of talent, he could find himself as a dark horse in the title fight. If you only watch single seaters, you might be asking yourself, who the fuck is Ryan Wood? And that is a fair question. I would have had the same just a few years ago. Wood is just having some off-season fun next to his commitments as an Aussie Supercars driver, a series where he, by the way, did not only come reasonably close to the title, but he's also one of my big personal favourites, so this is a little bit of a highlight. No idea how he'll do in single-seaters, but at least there is no pressure. If he does poorly, it can be blamed on a lack of experience. If he does really well, he'll be the professional beating some kids, so really nothing to gain other than a good time for Ryan Wood. HMD, the latest addition to the grid, comes in second place for their first campaign. Before we even talk about the drivers, can I just say I absolutely love an established team like HMD branching out to this part of the world. This also means they are the only team to give us a real test run of the matchup we'll see all year, considering they brought their full F3 lineup, joined by Super Formula bound former WRC champion Kalle Rovanperä. Much like Wood, Rovanperä is the big question mark in the squad. I've watched his Porsche Cup adventures, but doing alright in the rather weak Benelux series isn't exactly the type of setup I need to have much hope for this campaign. Then again, a lot has happened since then, including many tests for Rovanperä, and we do of course know how much raw talent that man has. Therefore, I'm not expecting much right out the gate, but predict huge steps of improvement over the 4 weeks. And I wouldn't be shocked if he hit the ground running either. Now, to the big boys, the F3 crew. Out of the trio, Konate Lee is comfortably the worst one, and he'll really be the first yardstick for Rovanperä in that sense. We know that Lee shouldn't have been the one getting that promotion while the likes of Gilles Terre and Akshay Bora are missing out, but oh well, the joys of pay-to-play racing, I suppose. Things start getting more interesting when looking at Jin Nakamura. Japanese driver with only a single season in Europe under his belt, but clearly somebody Toyota has big plans for in the future. And he has already shown his speed on European soil as well, even if it had both been a little inconsistent and, more importantly, rather accident prone. Considering this is a smaller grid with less racy tracks on the calendar, I could see this help Nakamura avoid some DNFs, and he is certainly the kind of driver I'd expect to leave with multiple podiums to his name. Last but not least, Finn McLaughlin is the biggest raw talent of the trio, but the only one with no experience in cars faster than F4. You might know that I absolutely love this guy from his karting days, so little surprise that I view him as a title contender. Sure, maybe he struggles to adjust to the car, but at least in F4 he hit the ground running, so I'm expecting him to repeat that here. And even if he ends up struggling more than expected, he will no doubt get to flash his talent for the wider world to see. M2 is not only the traditional kingmaker team of the series, they also once again brought far and away the most dangerous lineup. Sebastian Manson almost seems out of place if he hadn't been there last year already. I get it, young local talent, and he has been solid last season, but I'm afraid he'll still get destroyed by a group of teammates that'll likely find itself in the F1 conversation in the not too distant future. Only for Nestor Rivera this remains to be seen. Rivera does need a bit of a bounce back season. Sure, he was the main title rival to Kolnagi over in Euro Cup 3, but at the end of the day he did get beaten convincingly and just hasn't really impressed much after the summer break. And usually, I'd say this series is a great place to get some confidence back, if not for the fact that his two other teammates happen to be the two best drivers on the grid. Both Freddie Slater and Ugochukwu should absolutely expect to take that title home, and whoever misses out will likely be rather disappointed. Slater is of course the single hottest prospect on the entire road to F1 and an outrageous talent, while Ugochukwu has been a household name in the feeder series world for many years at this point, and he was arguably the best driver in the second half of the F3 season. If you've watched any of my videos before, it should be no surprise that I predict Slater to take it all. First time you'll see me predict against Slater will be when he hits F1 in 2028. Nevertheless, for Ugo's sake, I am hoping for an epic title battle between the pair, which would also set us up nicely for the upcoming F3 season. Really, the biggest question is whether anyone else will be able to rise to the level of these two superstars in the making. Who do you think will take the crown? And did I get any of my assessments horribly wrong? Please let us all know down in the comments so we've got something to discuss while we count down the days to the 2026 racing season. And otherwise, I thank you all for watching and I hope to catch you next week with our first regular race week review of 2026.